Imagine a world where the sky and the earth are two lovers, separated by the force of fate. They reach out to each other through mist and ages, and their tears become rain that nourishes the land. From the depths of the ocean, islands rise like on a fishing line. This is how Maori mythology begins, the people whose soul wanders the waves of time and the winds of the Pacific Ocean. For the Maori, a myth is not just a story. It is the living breath of ancestors, the voice of the land Wenua, and the bloodline thread that connects generations. In these tales, light is born from darkness, gods argue for the balance of elements, and humans seek their place amid the boundless cosmos. Every wind, storm, or breath of a wave has its meaning, spiritual, profound, like the whisper of ancient gods. We will journey through these legends, from the primordial darkness to the tricks and feats of the hero Maui, from the worlds of spirits to the present day, where ancient myths bloom anew in art, education, and the struggle to preserve culture. For the Maori, Waka Papa is a lineage without end. It is an endless song of connection between the sky, the earth, and the human heart. In the infinite expanse of time, before form or sound, before breath or heartbeat, there was only Takore, the great nothingness. It was not emptiness in the human sense, but a boundless realm of potential, the seed of everything that would ever exist. There was no sky, no earth, no light nor shadow, only the silent pulse of possibility. Imagine an ocean without water, a night without stars, a world waiting to be born. From Takora, the formless void, came Tepo, the night, or the great darkness. But Tepo was not simply the absence of light. It was a fertile, living darkness, the mother of all beginnings. In this sacred night, energy gathered, preparing for the great awakening of creation. Maori tradition describes many stages of Tepo. Tepo Nui, the great night, Tepo Roa, the long night, Tepo Uriuri, the deep night, and Tepo Uriuri Uri, the deepest night, Po Wauha, the whispering night. Each phase symbolized growth within darkness, the gathering of potential before the birth of light. From that eternal depth arose the first beings, in some iwi tribes, the supreme being Io Matua Kore, the parentless one. In others, the first forms were Rangi Nui, the Sky Father, and Papa Tuanuku, the Earth Mother. Their story is the heart of Maori cosmology, a tale of love, creation, and loss that explains the world and our place within it. Rangi Nui, vast and radiant, stretched across the cosmos like an endless canopy. Papa Tuanuku, nurturing and strong, lay below, her body rich with life not yet awakened. When they met, they fell into a deep, unbreakable embrace. In their union, there was perfect harmony. Yet that harmony was shadowed in darkness. Pressed tightly together, they left no space for light, air, or growth. The world existed in eternal night, still and silent, a womb of creation not yet born. Within that sacred closeness, the children of Rangi and Papa came into being, divine beings, Atua, who would embody the powers of the natural world. There was Tanemahuta, god of forests and birds, whose body was like a towering tree, roots in the earth, branches reaching for the heavens. Tangaroa, god of the seas, ruled the depths and tides, his moods reflected in the restless waves. Tumatawenga, god of war and humankind, was fierce and determined, the spirit of conflict and courage. Rongo Matane, god of cultivated food and peace, brought abundance to the soil and calm to the spirit. Tauhiri Matea, god of winds and storms, was wild and passionate, a child of movement and chaos. Haumia Tikataika, god of wild plants, cared for the uncultivated bounty of the land. And deep within Papa's body remained Ruaumoko, the unborn child, whose stirring would one day shake the ground with earthquakes and volcanic fire. The children lived trapped between their parents, their divine forms compressed, unable to stretch or breathe. They longed for space, for light, for life. The darkness that had once been comforting now became suffocating. They whispered to one another, seeking a way to bring change. A great council was held among the gods. Tumatawenga, ever bold, spoke first. "Let us slay our parents and free ourselves from this prison." But the others hesitated. The idea of killing the very beings who had given them life filled them with sorrow. Then Tanemahuta, the wise and patient one, offered another path. "No, let us separate them, so that the sky may remain above and the earth below. In the space between, light will come, and we shall live freely." All agreed, save for Tauhirimatea, who loved his parents too deeply. "Do not do this," he cried. "They are our source, our heart. If you tear them apart, I will make war upon you forever." His warning went unheeded. One by one, the brothers tried to part their parents. Tumatawenga struck with his weapons, but the embrace of Rangi and Papa could not be broken. Tangaroa surged with waves, but the sea could not divide them. Rongo and Homia pushed with vines and roots, but their efforts failed. Finally, Tain lay upon his back, feet planted against his father's chest, hands upon his mother's body. Summoning all his strength, he pushed. Rangi groaned. Papa cried out in pain. Yet slowly, steadily, Tan forced them apart. Light poured into the world for the first time. The heavens rose, vast and distant, while the earth lay below, open and fertile. The space between them became Te Ao Marama, the world of light, the world of life and understanding. But this creation brought heartbreak. Rangi, torn from his beloved, wept endlessly. His tears became the rain that falls upon the earth. Papa, mourning for her lost love, sighed, and her breath rose as mist and morning dew. Though separated, they forever yearned toward each other, the rain descending, the mist ascending, an eternal cycle of love and longing. Enraged by what his brothers had done, Tauhirimatea rose to his father in the heavens and unleashed his fury. He sent storms to lash the forests of Tane, hurricanes to whip the seas of Tangaroa, and tempests to tear the fields of Rongo and Haumia. Lightning flashed, trees broke, oceans roared, chaos returned to the world. Yet Tumatawenga stood firm, defying the winds. From that defiance came humankind, who inherited his strength and his warrior's spirit, forever in struggle with the forces of nature. Ruaumoko, still within his mother's womb, felt her pain and moved restlessly. His stirrings became the trembling of the earth, the rumble of volcanoes, the deep heartbeat of the land itself. Thus the world was formed, not from peace, but from struggle, from the painful necessity of separation. And yet, in that separation, life began. This myth of Rangi and Papa is not only a story of beginnings, but a profound philosophy. It explains why the sky weeps with rain, why the earth breathes with mist, why storms rage and the land trembles. It teaches that love and loss, unity and division, are part of one eternal cycle. In Whakapapa, the Maori genealogy, all beings trace their origins to Rangi and Papa. Humans, trees, winds and oceans all share the same divine ancestry. To harm the land is to wound one's mother. To pollute the sky is to make one's father weep. The myth is both cosmology and moral law, teaching reverence for balance and the sacred web of connection. Among different iwi, the story changes in beautiful ways. The people of Ngai Tahu speak of 10 stages of Te Kore, from the first void to the 10th, each representing the unfolding of potential. The Tuho tell of more children, including Waitiri, the goddess of thunder. In volcanic lands, Ruaumoko's presence is stronger. Among coastal tribes, Tangaroa dominates. Each version reflects the land it was born from, a living relationship between myth and environment. Even today, the story is spoken during Waikorero, ceremonial speeches on the marae. The orator stands before the people, lifts his voice, and begins, I te tamatanga, ko te kore. In the beginning, there was the void. The words resonate through generations. The listeners feel the presence of their ancestors, the breath of the gods, and the unbroken thread that ties them to the first dawn. The conflict of Tauhiri Matea continues still. In every storm that shakes the forests, in every wave that crashes upon the shore, Ruaumoko's movements echo in the trembling earth. These are not random forces, but living reminders of the ancient struggle between the children of sky and earth. And so, this myth endures, a living truth in art, in song, in the carvings of Whakairo, meeting houses where Tain is carved with outstretched arms, holding apart Rangi and Papa so that the world may live in light. The story of Rangi and Papa is more than a tale of creation. It is a love story, a tragedy, and a sacred teaching about balance. It reminds us that every separation carries both loss and renewal, and that within every ending lies the seed of a new beginning. After the great separation of Rangi Nui, the Sky Father, and Papa Tuanuku, the Earth Mother, when the sky rose above and the earth remained below, their children, the mighty Atua gods, took charge of the newly formed world. Born in the cramped darkness between their parents, these beings personify the essential forces of nature and sustain the balance of Te Ao Marama, the world of light. Each Atua was given a sphere of influence, and their interactions shaped the natural cycles of growth, destruction, rest, and upheaval. In Maori thought, the children of Rangi and Papa are not merely abstract figures. They are living aspects of the environment with which people relate every day. Forests whisper with Tain's voice, the ocean roars as Tangaroa, and storms are the fury of Tauhiri Matea. This chapter outlines the principal gods, their roles, deeds, and symbolism, showing how together they form the harmony of nature, yet also how their conflicts echo the original pain of separation. Maori traditions vary. Some iwi speak of many children, the number can range widely, while other accounts focus on a core group. In commonly told versions found across several iwi, including Ngai Tahu and Tuho, the primary figures are Tanemahuta, Tangaroa, Tumatawenga, Rongo Matane, Tauhiri Matea, Haumia Tikataike, and Ruaumoko. Each Atua corresponds to an element or domain: forest, sea, air, the hidden fires of the earth, cultivated and wild foods, and human affairs. And their stories are woven into Waka Papa, the genealogical framework that treats gods as ancestors and teaches respect for nature as family. Symbolically, they balance one another. Without Tain, there is no forest life. Without Tangaroa, the seas cannot provide. And without the challenge of Tumatawenga, there is no testing or growth. But conflicts among them, like Tauhiri Matea's war against his brothers, explain natural disasters, a reminder that balance can be fragile. Tanemahuta, god of forests, birds, and life. Tanemahuta, often shortened to Taine, is commonly portrayed as the eldest, wisest of the brothers and the hero of the separation. In many accounts, he is the one who finally pushed Rangi and Papa apart, standing with feet braced and pushing the sky upward so light could enter the world. This act is more than brute force. It symbolizes growth, trees reaching from earth to sky. After the separation, Tain fashioned the first woman, Haine Ahu I, from red earth and breathed life into her. From their union came humankind, making Tain a father of people in many traditions. Tain embodies life force, Maori, fertility, and growth. Large native trees, like the kauri, are often regarded with special reverence as his descendants. Rituals and karakia, incantations, invoke Tain's blessing for activities such as building houses, or entering forests. Local narratives tie Tain to specific landscapes. For example, Tuho speak of Tain's presence in the Urewera forests, and modern conservation efforts among Maori often draw on his mana to argue for forest protection. Tangaroa, god of the sea and all marine life. Tangaroa rules the ocean, its creatures, and other waters. After the separation, many traditions say Tangaroa withdrew into the depths and became the source of marine life, from fish to shellfish and larger sea beings. He represents fertility, mystery, and the sea's bounty. His favor brings plentiful harvests from the ocean. His wrath brings storms and high seas. Where coastal peoples rely on seafood, Tangaroa is central to ritual life. Fishing rites, offerings, and protocols honor him. In some iwi, Tangaroa is closely connected as an ancestor of coastal descendants. Tangaroa's symbolism features in carvings and tā-moko, where wave and fish motifs reference his domain and remind people of the ocean's role in whakapapa and sustenance. Tumatawenga, god of war and human endeavor. Tumatawenga, Tu, personifies conflict, courage, and the practical arts of survival. Before the separation, he tried to use force to free the world, but could not. Afterwards, he became the guardian of humanity's skills. Hunting, warfare, tool-making. Tu's nature is to challenge and be challenged, and through that struggle, people learn resilience. His role explains the human capacity to use and sometimes transform nature, an aspect that must be tempered by respect. In cultural expression, Tu's spirit appears in haka and other forms that call forth collective strength. Different iwi may associate Tu with particular places or histories where fighting for land or resources shaped identity. Rongo Matane, god of cultivated food and peace. Rongo is associated with cultivated crops, especially kumara, sweet potato, and the peaceful practices of growing food. After the separation, accounts say Rongo withdrew to the earth to foster the bounty of gardens, embodying tranquility, order, and nourishment. Rongo balances Tu, where Tu's actions can destroy, Rongos bring growth and stability. Planting and harvest ceremonies commonly acknowledge Rongo, and in some regions his presence is connected to geothermal soils and productive lands. Rongo's domain underlines the cultural importance of agriculture and the social peace required for it to flourish. Tauhiri Matea, god of winds and storms. Tauhiri Matea alone opposed the separation and, grieving for his parents, rose to the sky and unleashed his fury on his brothers. He is the personification of wind, storms, and weather's violent face. Tauhiri's attacks on Tani's forests, Tangaroa's seas, and the fields of Rongo and Haumia explain storms, gales, and the cycles of destruction and renewal. He is a reminder that the costs of change are carried in nature itself. Traditions about Tauhiri Matea vary by place. Winds and weather phenomena are often given local names and stories that reflect this Atua's presence. Haumia Tike Tike and the wild foods. Haumia Tike Tike represents wild plants and uncultivated food sources, the edible flora of bush and forest that sustained people alongside cultivated crops. In many tellings, Haumia's role complements Rongo's. One tends the gardens, the other tends the wild harvests. Together they make up the food web of Maori life. Some iwi emphasize Haumia more strongly, reflecting a heavier reliance on forest gathering in their locality. Ruau Moko, god of earthquakes and volcanic activity. Ruau Moko is often described as the child who remained in Papa's womb. His movements cause earthquakes and volcanic action. Where volcanic landscapes or seismic activity are central to local life, Ruaumoko figures prominently in tradition. His presence personifies the Earth's hidden, restless energy and the ongoing dynamic of the land. Together, these atua symbolize a living balance. Tani for growth, Tangaroa for water, Tu for contest and agency, Rongo for cultivation and peace, Tauhiri for change and storm, Ruamoko for the earth's upheaval, with Haumia representing wild abundance. In Wakapapa, they are ancestors whose mana and responsibilities shape both environment and human duty. Carvings, waiata, songs, and marae art commonly depict these relationships. Where Wakairo, carved meeting houses, often visually narrate the genealogy and deeds of the gods. Variations abound. Some iwi name additional deities or emphasize different aspects. For example, Waitiri, associated with thunder, appears in some traditions. The core lesson, however, remains consistent. The natural world is kin. To harm it is to harm family, and maintaining balance through respect, ritual, and stewardship is a moral duty embedded in Wakapapa. After the great separation of Rangi Nui, the Sky Father, and Papatuanuku, the Earth Mother, the world was flooded with light and space. The children of the heavens and the earth, the atua, or gods, began to shape the details of this new existence. Among them was Tanemahuta, god of forests, life and fertility, who had played a crucial role in parting his parents. As he wandered through the forests of Aotearoa, Tan felt a void upon the earth, a yearning for companionship, for something that could carry the divine spark within a mortal form. According to Maori tradition, it was Tain who created the first human, a woman named Hineahu I, the maiden formed from earth. Guided by the wisdom of his mother, Papatuanuku, Tane sought out Kurawaka, the sacred place regarded as the navel of the world, the most life-giving part of the Earth Mother. There he gathered the One Kura, the red clay of creation. Mixing it with water, he shaped the form of a woman, with rounded, fertile curves and a face imbued with grace and vitality. When he had completed his work, Tain pressed his nose to hers and breathed life into her nostrils. This act of divine respiration is remembered today in the Maori greeting hongi, a sharing of breath that symbolizes the exchange of ha, the life force. Thus, Hineahu I came to life. She opened her eyes, sneezed, an acknowledgement of life's awakening, and became the first woman. Tan took her as his wife, and from their union, humanity began. In Maori cosmology, this moment did not merely mark creation, but the establishment of balance, the sacred joining of the male, Tain, and female, Hine principles. Humanity was born not from dominance, but from harmony between the divine and the earthly. Hineahu I became the first ancestress of humankind, embodying the link between people and the Wenua, the land that nourishes and sustains all life. Through her, Maori trace their wakapapa, or genealogy, back to the gods themselves. From their union came a daughter, Hine Tatama, whose name means the dawn maiden. She was radiant as the morning light, her hair like the sun's first rays, her eyes bright with wisdom. Hine Tatama was the first truly human being, the bridge between divine origin and mortal destiny. She lived in peace, surrounded by the beauty of forests, birds, and flowing waters, unaware of the truth of her parentage. But in time, as their children grew, Hine Tatama asked, "Who is my father?" And the children answered, "Your husband Tane, he is your father." At that moment, realization and sorrow flooded her. In Maori understanding, to transgress tapu, the sacred order, brings spiritual rupture. Though Tane had acted in divine innocence, Hine's heart was filled with shame and grief. She could no longer remain in the world of light. Hinetetama turned her face from Taini and descended into the realm of Tepo, the world of darkness and spirits. Her journey led her northward to the point known as Terenga, where the souls of the dead depart the world, leaping into the sea to return to Hawaii, the ancestral homeland. Tane, heartbroken, followed her, calling out, "Return to me, Hein, for you are the light of my world." But Hein replied, "Return to our children, Tane. Remain in the world of light. You created life. I will receive them in death, so that balance may endure." And with these words, she became Hine Nui Tepo, the great woman of night, the goddess of death and transformation. Her eyes glowed red like the setting sun, her hair dark as the endless night, her mouth wide, the portal through which souls pass into the next world. Hine Tatama, the dawn maiden, thus became Haine Nui Tepo, the keeper of the night, symbolizing the eternal cycle where day becomes night and life becomes death. This transformation was not a fall, but a fulfillment, a restoration of Uta and Utu, balance and reciprocity. Tane's creation brought life, Hein's departure brought mortality, so that the rhythm of existence could continue. For Maori, death is not an end, but a return, a homecoming to the spiritual embrace of ancestors. In the sacred chants and laments of Tangihanga, funeral rites, Maori still invoke Hine Nui Tepo, singing Waiata to guide the Wairua, or spirit, safely into Tepo. Her presence offers comfort rather than fear. She is not a demon or destroyer, but a guardian who welcomes her descendants when their mortal journey is done. Different iwi tribes hold variations of this story. Among Ngati Poru, Hine Ahu On was shaped not only from clay, but also imbued with the elements of other gods, the waters of Tangaroa, the winds of Tauhirimatea, the fire of Mahuika, and the vitality of Rongo. In Tuho tradition, Kurawaka remains a sacred site where rituals of connection to the earth are still remembered. Some accounts tell that Tane formed several figures before one came to life, showing that the creation of humanity was both act and learning. As for Hine Tatama, some tribes say she had sisters, such as Hine Atawira, the Maiden of Lightning, connecting the genealogy of dawn and storm, light and shadow. In others, Hein's transformation into Haine Nui Tepo was her choice, an act of compassion to protect future generations. In yet other versions, it is a curse of sorrow. These variations reflect the fluid nature of Maori oral tradition, not contradictions, but living adaptations shaped by place, language, and perspective. The symbolism of Hine Nui Tepo is profound. Her body represents the night that swallows the day, her mouth the passage to eternity. Maori believe that when death comes, the Wairua travels to her, to be judged and received into the ancestral realm. This belief teaches moral responsibility. To live with mana, dignity, and honor, for Hein waits beyond. In Tamoko, sacred tattoo, and Wakairo, carving, she is often depicted as a spiral, symbolizing the cycle of life, death, and rebirth. Within Ware Tipuna, ancestral houses, her image appears at the center, a reminder that every lineage must one day return to its source. Philosophically, the myth expresses a deep truth. Life and death are not opposites, but companions. Without death, life would be eternal yet meaningless. Through death, life gains purpose. The principle of Utu ensures balance. Tane's act of creation demands Hein's act of completion. Her descent brings harmony where imbalance once existed. The story resonates with other world mythologies, akin to Persephone descending into Hades, or the duality of light and dark in Eastern cosmology. Yet its heart is uniquely Maori. It places woman, the earth, and death at the center of existence, affirming the sacred feminine as creator, sustainer, and transformer. In the ecological sense, the creation from earth reminds Maori of their duty to the Wenua. To harm the land is to harm one's own ancestor. for the same red clay that formed Hain flows within all living things. In contemporary Maori thought, the myth remains vibrant. In literature, as in Patricia Grace's Patiki, the themes of creation, ancestry, and balance echo through stories of community and survival. In film, Whale Rider reinterprets the spirit of Hain through the young heroine Pai, who bridges the worlds of past and future. In education and health, Hine Nui Te Po's journey is used as a metaphor for transformation, healing, and acceptance of mortality. Imagine a night on the marae. Under the stars, an elder recites the story, breathing as Tan once did, while children touch the ground, feeling the pulse of Hain Ahu One beneath their hands. The rhythm of the haka mirrors the descent into Te Po, powerful, tragic, and beautiful. Ultimately, the myth teaches that every breath we take is part of a greater rhythm, the endless flow between creation and return. Hine Nui Te Po does not end life, she completes it. Death, in Maori understanding, is not darkness to be feared, but the soft night into which all light finally rests. In Maori mythology, following the creation of the world by the gods and the birth of humankind through the union of Tane and Hine Ahu One, a new figure emerges, one who embodies the spirit of human ingenuity, audacity, and cunning. This is Maui, the legendary hero and trickster. Maui is not a full god like his divine ancestors, but a demigod, born of both gods and mortals. Through intellect, magic, and cleverness, he reshapes the world for the benefit of humankind. His tales, passed down orally through generations among different Maori tribes, iwi, are among the most celebrated in Polynesian mythology, with parallels in Hawaii, Tahiti, and across the Pacific. In the Maori tradition, Maui represents the boundary between bravery and arrogance. His feats bring prosperity and knowledge, yet often come at the cost of pain or failure, teaching humility and balance. This chapter reveals his miraculous birth, his famous exploits, from fishing up the islands to confronting death itself, and the deep symbolism that makes Maui an enduring icon of Maori culture. The birth of Maui. The story of Maui's birth is itself an adventure of drama and magic, an allegory of the outcast who defies fate. According to traditional narratives, Maui was the youngest son of Taranga, his mother, and Makeatutara, his father, who in some versions guards the underworld. He was born prematurely, small and fragile, little more than a clot of blood, and his mother believed him stillborn. In despair, or perhaps bound by custom and fear of ill omen, Taranga wrapped the infant in a lock of her hair and cast him into the sea, surrendering him to the waves. But Maui did not perish. The spirits of his ancestors, Tupuna, and the gods of the ocean preserved him. The currents of Tangaroa, god of the sea, bore the child gently through the waters until he was found by his divine forebears, sometimes said to be Tama Nui Te Ra, the sun itself, or Rangi Nui, the sky father. They restored Maui to life, blessing him with mana, spiritual power, and supernatural cunning. Raised among spirits, Maui learned magic, transformation, and trickery before returning to the world of mortals. His miraculous survival and return symbolize rebirth. The rejected becomes the redeemer, reminding Maori that even the weakest can shape the world through perseverance and intellect. Return to his family. When Maui finally returned to his mother, he proved his identity through cleverness. In some traditions, he hid in her skirt. In others, he transformed into a bird and followed her to the underworld, where she met his father. Taranga did not recognize him at first, but Maui's wit and persistence compelled her memory. His elder brothers, Maui Taha, Maui Roto, Maui Pai, and Maui Waho, initially scorned the younger sibling, but in time came to respect his courage and leadership. Among the Ngai Tahu of the South Island, Maui's birth carries elements of transformation, underlining his trickster essence. In the Tuho tradition, the oceanic rescue plays a larger role, reflecting the coastal environment of their lands. These local variations show how mythology adapts. Maui remains universal in meaning, yet always rooted in the place and people who tell his story. Fishing up the islands. One of Maui's most famous feats explains the creation of Aotearoa, New Zealand. His brothers often excluded him from their fishing expeditions, mocking his youth. Determined to prove himself, Maui persuaded them to take him along. He brought a magic fishhook, carved from the jawbone of his ancestor Muriranga Wenua, and enchanted it with his own blood. When the brothers caught ordinary fish, Maui cast his hook into the deep sea, chanting karakia, sacred incantations. He caught something enormous, a living landmass, and, with immense effort, hauled it to the surface. This was Te Ika a Maui, the fish of Maui, which became the North Island of New Zealand. Impatient, his brothers began cutting into the fish's back before Maui could perform the proper rituals, forming the mountains, valleys, and lakes seen today. The South Island is known as Te Waka a Maui, the canoe of Maui, and Stewart Island as his anchor stone. This myth not only explains geography, but symbolizes discovery and creation, Maui as the explorer who draws land from the sea. The fish represents the ocean's mystery, while the hook embodies human ingenuity that tames and reveals nature. Even today, Maori refer to the North Island as Te Ika a Maui, preserving his legend in the very language of the land. Slowing the sun, another celebrated exploit, is Maui's battle to slow the sun, ensuring longer days for humankind. In the ancient world, Ra, the sun, sped too swiftly across the sky, making days short and labor difficult. Hearing people's complaints, Maui resolved to capture and restrain Ra. He and his brothers crafted strong ropes from flax, harakeke, infusing them with magic. Traveling eastward to the place of sunrise, they dug a pit and lay in wait. As the blazing Ra emerged, Maui cast the nooses over the sun's rays, and the brothers struck it with taiaha, wooden clubs, until Ra weakened. Defeated, the sun promised to move more slowly across the sky. Through this act, Maui brought balance to time itself. The story reflects the triumph of human determination over the cosmic order, a metaphor for controlling natural cycles through courage and cooperation. Among the Te Arawa, the ropes are said to have been braided from their sister's hair, emphasizing kinship and sacrifice. The myth teaches that boldness can alter the world, though always at a cost. Stealing the fire. In another tale, Maui steals fire from the goddess Mahuika so that humans may cook and survive. At that time, people had no fire, so Maui descended to the underworld to seek it. Mahuika, the fire deity, granted him her fiery fingernails, each a spark of living flame. But Maui, ever curious and mischievous, extinguished each one, pretending they were lost, until only the last remained. Enraged by his deceit, Mahuika hurled her final fire toward him. It landed in the trees, hiding within their wood. From then on, humans learned to create fire by friction, rubbing sticks of the kaikomako tree together. This story mirrors the Greek myth of Prometheus, the hero who steals a divine gift for humankind, risking destruction to bring light and knowledge. Fire here represents wisdom and civilization, and Maui, the bringer of enlightenment through cunning and defiance. Challenging death. Maui's final and most tragic deed was his attempt to conquer death itself. Witnessing mortality's grip on humankind, he sought to destroy Hinenui Te Po, the goddess of death and night. His plan was to enter her body while she slept, through her womb, and emerge through her mouth, reversing the process of birth, thus granting immortality to all humans. But as Maui began his daring act, the small bird, Pa Waka Waka, the fantail, unable to contain its laughter, awoke Hinenui Te Po. She crushed Maui between her thighs, killing him instantly. His death marked the boundary between life and the afterlife, arrogance undone by fate. For the Maori, this explains why humans are mortal. The story teaches that even the greatest hero must bow to natural law, humility before the cosmic order. Among the Ngati Poro, the bird's laughter is interpreted as betrayal, in others as the inevitable chaos of nature. Legacy and symbolism. Maui embodies the restless human spirit, inventive, daring, flawed, and endlessly curious. His tricks mirror innovation, his failures, the perils of pride. In Wakapapa genealogy, Maui is an ancestor of many Maori tribes, and his deeds are celebrated in haka, tamoko, tattoo art, and oral chants. In modern culture, he endures as a symbol of creativity and resilience, appearing in films like Moana, though heavily adapted, in the works of authors such as Witi Ihimaera, and as inspiration for environmental and educational movements across Aotearoa. Across Polynesia, Maui's image shifts. In Hawaii, he lassos the sun for his mother. In Tahiti, he creates coconuts. Yet in all versions, he is the same: the defier, the innovator, the shaper of worlds. Deeper symbolism. Imagine Maui as a child of the ocean, playing among spirits, learning the art of transformation, part human, part divine. His return to his family recalls Odysseus's journey home, though filled with magic and metamorphosis. In the fishing myth, the hook stands for ancestral strength, the fish for the land itself, a living being lifted from chaos. In the story of the sun, the ropes symbolize communal effort, the clubs, the tools of perseverance. In the tale of fire, Maui extinguishes the flames in rivers, giving rise to hot springs. And in his death, his journey through Hainanui Te Po is the reversal of birth, a cosmic cycle completed, where the laughter of the Pawaka Waka becomes the wild voice of nature that even gods cannot silence. In Maori art, Maui is carved holding his fishhook, forever mid-deed. In schools, children still draw the islands as a fish, learning the geography of myth. In literature, echoes of Maui appear in The Whale Rider. And in environmental philosophy, he stands as a metaphor for stewardship, a reminder that creation and destruction are twins. Beyond the foundational stories of creation, gods, and heroes like Maui, Maori mythology is rich with other legends, tales of voyagers, lovers, warriors, and shamans. Often tied to specific iwi, tribes, and places across Aotearoa, these stories explain the origins of lands, traditions, and genealogies. Passed down orally through generations, they adapt to local contexts and serve not only as entertainment, but as lessons about courage, love, revenge, and harmony with nature. This section explores several key legends: Kupe, the discoverer of Aotearoa, the tragic romance of Hinemoa and Tutanakai, the tale of Hatupatu and the bird-woman Kurangaituku, the priest Ngatoroirangi, who brought sacred fire, and Paikea, the youth saved by a whale. Each story reflects themes of Wakapapa, ancestry, mana, spiritual power, and the balance between people and the spirit world, keeping Maori mythology vibrant and relevant. Kupe, the great voyager. Kupe, a rangatira, chief, and master fisherman from Hawaii, the ancestral Polynesian homeland, is revered as the first to discover Aotearoa. According to legend, a monstrous octopus named Te Weke a Muturangi, pet of Kupe's rival Muturangi, was destroying fishing nets and driving away the fish. Enraged, Kupe vowed to hunt it down. He gathered a crew, including his wife Kura Marotini, Hine Te Aparangi, and the priest Peka Hurangi, and set out aboard his canoe Matawaurua. Guided by stars, ocean currents, and ancestral spirits, they pursued the creature across the Pacific. The chase ended near the coast of Aotearoa, where Kupe slew the octopus after a fierce battle at Tory Channel, Wekanui Bay. This victory avenged his people and revealed a new land. Kupe named many places, Te Wanganui Atara, Wellington Harbour, said to honour his daughter's tears, and Te Waipunamu, waters of greenstone, for the jade found there. After exploring the islands, Kupe returned to Hawaiki, telling others of the new land, inspiring later migrations. Different iwi preserve unique versions. Ngai Tahu emphasize the battle in the South Island, where Boulder Bank marks the remains of the slain octopus. The Tai Nui traditions link Kupe to the canoe Toto. Symbolically, Kupe embodies the spirit of exploration and ancestral navigation. Today, his legend lives on in Wellington landmarks, museum statues, and educational narratives connecting myth to archaeology and Polynesian migration around 1,000 years ago. Hinemoa and Tutanekai, a love across the waters. This is one of Maori culture's most cherished love stories, immortalized in the song Pokarekare Ana. Hinemoa, daughter of a great Te Arawa chief, lived in Ohata on the shore of Lake Rotorua. She was Puhi Tapairu, a high-born maiden of exceptional beauty, courted by many. Tutanekai, the gifted musician who lived on Mokoia Island, was of noble birth but lower status, as his mother was not of chiefly lineage. They met during a tribal gathering and their love grew. But Hinemoa's father forbade marriage, deeming Tutanekai unworthy. Every night, Tutanekai played his flute, koawau, across the water, and Hinemoa listened from the distant shore. One night, unable to endure the separation, she tied 6 hollow gourds, Hugh, around her body, as floats and swam across the cold, dangerous lake, guided by the haunting sound of his flute. Reaching the island, she hid in a hot spring, Waikimihia, where Tutanekai found her. Their union not only fulfilled their love, but reconciled their tribes. The story celebrates love's power to transcend social barriers, and the bravery of a woman defying convention. In variations, Hinemoa's swim and discovery differ slightly, but the message remains: courage and devotion conquer all. Today, the legend is woven into Rotorua's tourism, haka, and music. And in modern literature and animation, it symbolizes feminist strength and cultural rebirth. Hatupatu and the Birdwoman. Kurangaituku Hatupatu, the youngest son of a Te Arawa chief, was often bullied by his brothers. One day, while hunting, he encountered Kurangaituku, a fearsome part bird, part woman creature with feathers, claws, and a sharp beak. She captured Hatupatu and kept him captive in her cave, filled with cages of birds and treasures. Hatupatu bided his time, feeding her and pretending obedience, until one day, when Kurangaituku left to hunt, he escaped, freeing the birds and fleeing through the forest. Furious, she pursued him, throwing spears of bone and wood. Hatupatu reached a sacred rock at Atiamuri, shouting, "Matatu mai koe e te toka." "Open for me, O rock." The rock opened, hiding him. When Kurangaituku reached it, the rock closed and crushed her. Hatupatu escaped and returned home, where his people later burned her remains. This tale, both thrilling and eerie, speaks of human cleverness, freedom, and the struggle between nature and man. Modern reinterpretations, such as Witi Heriaka's novel Kurangaituku, tell the story from her perspective, recasting her as the misunderstood guardian of nature. Her image endures in carvings, art, and lessons about respecting the natural world. Ngatoroirangi, the priest who brought fire. Ngatoroirangi, the high priest of the Te Arawa canoe, brought the sacred fire from Hawaii to Aotearoa. Traveling inland toward Tongariro, he and his sisters were trapped in a freezing storm. Near death, he called upon the fire spirits Te Pupu and Te Hoata, who journeyed underground from Hawaii to rescue him, their path forming New Zealand's geothermal regions, from Wakari, White Island, to Tongariro. When Rangi reached the mountain's summit, he sacrificed his servant Uruho, giving name to the volcano Ruhoe. In other iwi traditions, only 2 of the 3 baskets of fire reached him, explaining the scattered hot springs and volcanoes. The legend symbolizes both the spiritual and literal energy of the land, the warmth of divine life within Aotearoa's earth. Today, it connects Maori cosmology to the geothermal wonders of Tongariro National Park. Paikea, the boy saved by the whale. Paikea was the younger brother of Ruatapu, sons of a chief in Hawaii. When Ruatapu was humiliated by his father, he plotted revenge, luring his brothers to sea and sinking their canoe. Paikea survived by calling on the sea gods, and a great whale, Tohora, carried him safely to Wangara on the east coast of Aotearoa. He became the ancestor of the Ngati Porou people. The story embodies endurance, divine protection, and the deep connection between Maori and the ocean. In modern retellings, most famously in the film Whale Rider, Paikea's spirit lives through a young girl who inherits his mana, symbolizing leadership, resilience, and the evolving strength of Maori identity. These legends enrich Maori culture with moral and spiritual insight. They connect people to their ancestors and to the land, living on through art, storytelling, and education, ever reminding that humanity and nature are bound by the same sacred breath. Maori mythology extends far beyond gods and heroes. It teems with spiritual beings and invisible forces that shape the Maori worldview. These entities, from powerful water guardians to elusive forest dwellers, represent the balance between the seen and unseen, between people and nature. In Maori culture, where all things possess Maori, life essence, such beings are not just folklore, they are living presences influencing daily life, rituals and decisions. Taniwa guard or punish, but Tupayarehe embody the mysteries of the forests. Kaitiaki act as guardians, Wairua are the spirits of the dead, and Tapu and Noah sustain harmony. Together, they reveal a world where nature and spirit are inseparable. Taniwa, the water guardians. Among the most famous and fearsome of Maori spirits, Taniwa are powerful beings of the waters, guardians to some, destroyers to others. They are often described as giant supernatural creatures resembling dragons, serpents, sharks, or whales, inhabiting river depths, caves, lakes, or the sea, especially in places with strong currents or whirlpools. Many Taniwa are tied to specific tribal regions. In the Waikato River, Karutahi protects the Waikato Tainui people but punishes outsiders. Some Taniwa are descended from sea or earth gods like Tangaroa or Ruamoko, and can change form, from winged reptiles to drifting logs or even humans. Not all are malevolent. Some serve as kaitiaki, guardians, such as Uriah of Wellington Harbour, who once saved sailors from drowning. Yet when tapu, sacred law, is broken, when waters are polluted or ancestral places desecrated, a taniwa may strike back with floods, earthquakes, or death. Across iwi, their forms vary. Ngai Tahu described them as colossal reptiles guarding southern lakes. Tuho linked them to rivers and caves as symbols of hidden earthly power. Taniwa also aid warriors in war, cloaking them in mist. Spiritually, they embody nature's dangers and the need for respect. Water that gives life can also take it. Even today, belief in Taniwa carries weight. In 2002, road construction in Waikato was rerouted after Ngati Naho elders warned it would disturb Karutahi's resting place. In art and tā moko tattoos, Taniwa appear as spirals of strength and protection, timeless reminders of the power dwelling in nature. Patupayarehe, the forest people. Patupayarehe, sometimes called Turehu or Pakepakeha, are mysterious forest spirits, pale, red-haired beings who dwell in misty mountains, deep woods, and remote valleys. Sensitive to sunlight, they are most active at night or in fog, playing haunting melodies on bone flutes and singing otherworldly songs. In some stories they are kind, teaching humans music or weaving, while in others they are dangerous, luring travelers or stealing women, as in the tale of Tauhaki, who met them in the heavens. They shun fire and cooked food, which are tapu to them, and vanish with the dawn. Among Ngati Porou, some families trace red hair to unions with Patupaierehe, blending myth and ancestry. In Taranaki, they appear as mist-bound spirits around Mount Taranaki. Symbolically, they personify the secrets of the forest and warn against violating sacred places. Offerings were once left in the woods to appease them. In modern art and literature, from the film The Dead Lands to Margaret Mahy's Into the Labyrinth, they symbolize cultural memory and respect for the unseen. In ecology, they stand as guardians of the wild, spirits reminding humans not to cut too deeply into the living forest. Kaitiaki, guardians of the living world. Kaitiaki are spiritual protectors, ancestors or natural beings that safeguard people, places and resources. They take many forms: a shark that guides fishers, a bird that warns of danger, or a tree that guards the forest. Kaitiaki are not a separate species, but a sacred role within the web of Wakapapa genealogy, linking humans to the divine, Atua. In legends, whales serve as Kaitiaki, as in Paikea's story where the whale saves the hero. When people dishonor their duty to land or kin, Kaitiaki may send misfortune or sickness as a reminder. For Ngati Kahungunu, certain birds act as omens, protecting their descendants. Symbolically, Kaitiaki express the Maori ethic of responsibility. People are not owners of the land, but its caretakers. Today, the concept shapes modern law and conservation, appearing in the Resource Management Act, 1991, where iwi are consulted on environmental decisions. In schools, children learn to be kaitiaki, planting trees and protecting rivers as acts of cultural identity. Wairua, the journeying souls. Wairua are the spirits of the dead, the essence that leaves the body at death, or even during dreams. After death, a Wairua travels north to Te Rerenga Wairua, Cape Reinga, leaps from the ancient Pohutukawa tree, and journeys back to Hawaii, the spiritual homeland. Some linger, appearing in dreams or visions to warn or comfort the living. During tangihanga, funeral rites, prayers and chants help the Wairua find peace. Some iwi teach that souls are judged in Te Po, the underworld, before continuing their journey. Wairua reflects the cyclical nature of life, death as transition, not end. In modern Maori well-being frameworks, Wairua also represents spiritual health, a vital part of emotional balance and community connection. Tapu and Noa, sacred and ordinary, at the heart of Maori spirituality, lie two opposing yet complementary states: Tapu, sacred restriction, and Noa, ordinary free state. Tapu protects mana, the spiritual authority of people, objects, and places. Certain areas, like burial grounds or sacred mountains, are deeply tapu, and violations invite misfortune. Noa, restored through ritual, releases that sacred charge, returning balance. Together, Tapu and Noa sustain the cosmic equilibrium. They remind that every action has spiritual weight, that respect and ritual are essential for harmony between humanity, the ancestors, and the living world. In Maori mythology, the universe is not limited to what is seen. It unfolds across layered realms where the underworld, Te Po, and the heavens, Rangi Nui, intertwine with the world of light, Te Ao Marama. These are not merely places but states of being, connected through Wakapapa, genealogy, and Maori, life force. Te Po, the realm of darkness, ruled by Hine Nui Te Po, represents both origin and return, where souls journey after death. Te Ao Marama is the world of life and learning. Born from the separation of sky and earth, while Hawaii, the ancestral homeland, bridges all realms. From the sacred Cape Renga, spirits depart toward Hawaii, and in the night sky, the stars of Matariki renew the cycle of life. Together, these worlds form a living cosmology of creation, death, and renewal. Te Po, the realm of darkness. Te Po is the primal night, a vast dimension of rest, death, and transformation under the guardianship of Hine Nui Te Po, the Great Woman of Night. In Maori cosmology, darkness is not evil, but essential, the womb of potential from which all things arise. After the void, Te Kore, Te Po unfolds through stages such as Te Po Nui, the Great Night, and Te Po Roa, the Long Night, symbolizing the awakening of existence. Hine Nui Te Po, once Hine Tatama, descended into Te Po after discovering that her father Tane was also her lover, transforming into the goddess who receives the dead. Souls, Wairua, travel through her realm, finding rest before returning to Hawaii. In ritual, Maori invoke Te Po during tangihanga, funerals, guiding the spirit into darkness. Though she may appear fearsome, Hine is not a monster. She embodies balance, ensuring that life is completed by death. Te Ao Marama, the world of light. The world of light came into being when Tain separated his parents, Rangi and Papa, allowing illumination to enter the cosmos. Te Ao Marama is the realm of clarity, knowledge, and human experience, the visible world where all beings live, struggle, and grow. Here, the gods preside, Tane over forests, Tangaroa over seas, and Tauhiramatea over storms. Yet light does not mean perfection. It exposes, challenges, and teaches. The myths of Maui unfold in Te Ao Marama, showing how courage and curiosity bring progress, but also consequence. Symbolically, it mirrors the day's rhythm. Dawn as birth, daylight as life, and dusk as the return to darkness. Hawaii, the ancestral homeland. Hawaii is both origin and destination, the sacred homeland from which Maori ancestors voyaged to Aotearoa, and to which spirits return after death. It lies beyond the horizon, sometimes seen as an island, sometimes a spiritual dimension beneath the heavens. In this eternal land, the ancestors dwell in peace. For Maori, Hawaii defines identity and belonging. Wakapapa traces every being back to it. In modern thought, it represents continuity, the unbroken line between the living and the dead. Cape Renga, the path of spirits, at the northern tip of Aotearoa lies Te Rerenga Wairua, Cape Renga, where the spirits of the dead begin their journey to Hawaii. From this sacred cliff grows a lone pohutukawa tree, whose roots reach into the sea. The souls descend along its branches and leap into the ocean to cross back to their ancestral home. Maori hold Ringa as one of the most sacred places in the land, a threshold between the seen and unseen worlds. Matariki, the stars of renewal above, the celestial realm is governed by Matariki, the cluster known as the Pleiades. Its rising in midwinter marks the Maori New Year, a time for reflection, remembrance, and renewal. Each star carries meaning. Tupu Anuku governs the fruits of the earth, Tupu Arangi the bounty of the sky, Waipuna Arangi the rains, Wait and Waita the waters, Urarangi the winds, Pohutukawa the departed, and Hiwa Itarangi the wishes for the future. The brightness of the stars foretells harvest and well-being. Souls that leave Te Ao Marama join these constellations, completing the cosmic cycle. Together these realms, Te Po, Te Ao Marama, Hawaii, Renga, and Matariki, form the Maori vision of existence, life emerging from darkness, returning to its source, and shining again as stars. It is a philosophy of unity, balance, and transformation, where death is not an end, but a return to origin, and the night sky holds the promise of renewal. Maori mythology is far more than a collection of stories about gods, heroes, and creation. It is a living philosophy that shapes the moral compass, worldview, and symbolism of an entire people. At the heart of the Maori cosmos lie several interwoven concepts: Wakapapa, genealogy and cosmic order; Mana, spiritual authority and prestige; Tapu, sacredness and restriction; Utu, balance, reciprocity and justice; Maori, life force or vital essence, and the symbolic unity of humanity, nature and spirit. Together they form a holistic system where everything is connected in one continuous cycle. Through myth, ritual, and daily practice, these values teach respect for ancestors, preservation of balance, and harmony with the living world. This chapter explores each concept in depth, tracing its mythic roots, tribal variations, and contemporary relevance, to reveal how Maori ethics bind the individual to the collective and the spiritual to the natural. Wakapapa, the sacred genealogy of existence. Wakapapa is the foundation of the Maori worldview, not merely a list of ancestors, but the cosmic framework linking all beings. In Maori cosmology, Wakapapa begins in Te Kore, the void, passes through Te Po, the darkness, and emerges into the world of light and form through Rangi Nui and Papa Tu Anuku, their divine children, and finally humankind. Every Maori can trace their Wakapapa to the great canoes that arrived from Hawaiki, to Atua, gods such as Tane or Tangaroa, and to the living environment, forests, rivers and mountains. Wakapapa is layered rather than linear. People, land and ancestors are all kin. Morally, Wakapapa teaches responsibility. Each person's actions affect the entire chain, from the first ancestors to those yet unborn. To harm the land is to harm one's lineage. In rituals such as Waikorero, ceremonial speeches on the marae, Wakapapa is recited to affirm identity and mana. Among iwi tribes, Wakapapa reflects local landscapes. For Ngai Tahu, it includes Aoraki, Mount Cook, as an ancestor. For Tuho, the forests of Te Urewera are part of the genealogical body. Symbolically, Wakapapa is a tree, roots in the ancestors, trunk in the present, and branches reaching into future generations. In modern contexts, Wakapapa underpins land claims before the Waitangi Tribunal, genealogical education in schools, and literature such as Kerry Hume's The Bone People, where broken Wakapapa mirrors fractured identity. Mana, spiritual power and integrity. Mana represents spiritual authority, prestige, and integrity derived from divine ancestry, noble action, and moral conduct. In mythology, the gods' mana is their creative force. Tan possessed the mana to separate Rangi and Papa and bring light into the world. For humans, mana is earned through courage, wisdom, and service, like Maui, whose cleverness and heroism enhanced his mana with every deed. Yet mana is fragile. It can be lost through defeat, dishonor, or violation of tapu. Thus, it carries both privilege and duty. To live with mana is to act with dignity, for your mana reflects not only yourself, but your entire Wakapapa. Tribal leaders, rangatira, are guardians of mana. Their authority demands humility and responsibility to the collective. In coastal iwi, such as Ngati Poro, mana is tied to the sea. Successful fishing honors Tangaroa. In Waikato, warriors embody the mana of Tumatawenga through courage in battle. Symbolically, mana is like water. It flows, gathers, and nourishes, but can evaporate if not cared for. In the modern world, mana inspires leadership and integrity, from Queen Te Atai Rangi Ka'ahu to the haka performed on rugby fields, each act a renewal of collective pride and spirit. Tapu and Noa, the sacred and the ordinary. Tapu defines the sacred boundaries that preserve cosmic balance by separating what is holy from what is common. It protects mana and maintains harmony between people, gods, and nature. Certain places, such as Kurawaka, where Tain created Hine Ahu 1, remain tapu. Others become tapu through death or ritual. To violate tapu is to invite imbalance and consequence, as seen in Haine Tatama's tragic transformation into Hine Nui Tepo. Noa, by contrast, is the state of neutrality or release from tapu, achieved through cleansing acts such as eating, washing, or karakia. Tapu teaches moral restraint. Approach the sacred with respect, for desecration disturbs not only the gods, but also the world's order. Regional customs vary. In Taranaki, mountains like Taranaki Maunga are tapu, and food may not be eaten there. In Ngapuhi, food was once forbidden in battle because of its sacred connection to life. Today, tapu continues to protect natural resources. Rivers declared tapu against pollution, or burial grounds shielded from disturbance. In medicine and law, the concept informs protocols around the sanctity of the body and environment. Utu, balance, reciprocity, and justice. Utu is often misunderstood as vengeance, but in Maori ethics it means restoration, the process of rebalancing relationships through reciprocity. Utu ensures that every act, good or harmful, finds its response. In myth, Tauhira Matea's war against his brothers was Utu for the separation of their parents, demonstrating that cosmic events demand equilibrium. Morally, Utu sustains justice, kindness is repaid with kindness, harm with appropriate redress. Among Te Arawa, Utu guided the resolution of family disputes. Symbolically, it mirrors the eternal exchange between Rangi's rain and Papa's fertile earth, giving and receiving in perpetual cycle. In modern Maori law and mediation, Utu informs notions of restorative justice and compensation, connecting ancient principles to contemporary ethics. Maori, the essence of life. Maori is the vital essence present in all things, the spark that binds physical form to spiritual energy. In myth, Tane breathed Maori into Hine Ahu 1, transforming clay into life. Without Maori, existence is inert. It dwells in people, animals, rivers, mountains, and even in collective endeavors like a canoe or a community. Maori teaches respect for all forms of life. To harm a forest or river is to wound its Maori. Among Ngati Kahungunu, Maori stones were placed in waterways to maintain the life force of the river. In contemporary ecology, Maori serves as a guiding concept in environmental assessment, measuring the health or vitality of ecosystems. It reminds Maori that the environment is not a resource, but a living relative. The unity of humanity, nature and spirit. The symbolic unity of humans, nature and spirit lies at the heart of Maori philosophy. In myth, humankind descends directly from the gods. The earth is both mother and ancestor. To harm the land, when you are, is to harm oneself, for all are one body. This unity is expressed in ceremony and art. The haka embodies collective spirit. Carvings, wakairo, depict the genealogical continuum of gods and humans. Songs, waiata, honor both ancestors and environment. Today, this worldview drives Maori leadership in climate action, environmental protection, and cultural revival, affirming that the sacred balance of Te Ao Marama, the world of light, endures through respect,